Hello everyone, I'm Tracy and thank you for tuning in today. So I have a few updates that I wanted to share with you guys about the devastating Lahaina fires. I do want to make a quick announcement, and this has to do with a topic that is kind of a hot topic right now, yet it's very, very important. It has to do with what's going on with Russel Brand. He's been he's been demonetized from YouTube. If you guys aren't familiar with his channel, he has a very big following, about 6.8 million followers here on YouTube. And more recently, like the last week, there's been like a smear campaign. So kind of in the lines of the Me Too movement, some women have come up from the past claiming that he has done some things like exposing himself and things of that nature, some more serious allegations, yet he has not been formally charged and he vehemently denies doing any of this, and I believe him. They're kind of using that as an excuse to demonetize him and try to get him off the different platforms. So he is actually moving his content to Rumble. A British Parliament sent letters to both Rumble and TikTok requesting to know if they were going to monetize his content, and in a way asking them not to. Rumble is the only company that welcome to join our platform, so that is where he's moving his audience. And just because the content that I provide here is often in line with what he's doing, we're going against the narrative that the mainstream media is trying to force down our throats. If you've been following me for some time, you probably feel the same. And citizen journalists such as myself are being discouraged from posting the truth, posting our opinions, and bringing up topics that the established, mainstream media is not in agreement with. So it's been going on for at least since the big, I can't even say this word, the big event that happened a couple years ago. And that's when this censorship thing really became obvious. So I'm going to continue to make content, release content here on YouTube, but I did move everything to Rumble, and this will also allow me to put content up, share things with you guys that I'm not comfortable putting here on YouTube. And I have been sitting on a few topics and stories that I am not comfortable putting here. So that way I'm able to share with you guys more of what my findings are, some information and evidence that's been sent to me and has been qualified by me. So that will allow me to be more true to myself and be more open with you all. So please go to Rumble. All my content is up there, and later this week I'll be releasing content that will only be on Rumble, but I will also remain here on YouTube. So I would appreciate it very much if you guys did that. And yeah, that's going to do it for that topic. That is very important. I'm also going to play a clip of an attorney who is filing.
So I'm with attorney Mike Yoder, who's decided to file a lawsuit in light of some of these revelations. Mike, what do you intend to do?
The first and most important thing is just so people in Hawaii and Lahaina understand that what we're trying to do is ensure that the land that they are so, sincere about and that they care so much about isn't taken from them a second time. A lot of the animosity and hostility is understandable based on the history and the culture that is very deeply rooted in Hawaii. But if we don't have the freedom of the press, we don't have the freedom of speech, and people are kept in the dark as to what the government's doing and what is going on, then there's no way to ever have a people-led or people-controlled society. So the first step we're going to take down is the suppression of electronic media, make sure people are able to speak freely. Second step is to take out the criminal provisions of people exercising their rights that are guaranteed under both the U.S. Constitution and the Hawaiian Constitution.
And this is the statute, the revised statute that we've been hearing about?
Revised statute 127A-13 is where the provisions are. They're criminalizing it under section 29.
And if people want to support you, how can they do that?
You guys can go to MauiLegalPreservationFund.org. I'm not taking $1 from any of the people here. I'm representing them entirely for free. I'm also not doing it on contingency. There's nothing that's coming out of these people's pockets. It's mainly to preserve and protect their land, and we're just trying to make sure that the government is kept in check. Otherwise, they will go unhinged.
Okay, so that's what's been going on. I really hope that citizen journalists such as myself can continue reporting on these platforms, but we are very much at risk for being deplatformed. So thank you guys so much for understanding and for sticking with this story. And I can't express how appreciative I am from everyone, you know, following the story and sticking with me, and all of your comments, likes, and interaction, the very large number of shares that I get on my videos. It really means a lot, and it motivates me to continue to want to make more content. So, okay, with that, I'm going to get to a couple stories. This one I really wanted to talk about. It is one of those things that is kind of hard because it's a very sensitive topic, but I think I'm in a good state today to do that. I did want to address the question about the school buses that were seen leaving the fire zone during the fire, and I'll put videos up. There are a number of videos that people took of this happening. There are, I think, 11 school buses. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe 9 or 10. Anyhow, they were being escorted out of the fire zone, and there is some talk about them maybe being used to transport children. I don't believe that's what they were for. It looked like they were empty. I couldn't see any people in the school buses. The windows did look pretty dark, but I don't know if that's just how they do things in Maui, but I didn't see anyone on the buses. So my guess, and this is also from reports of people that were vacationing at the time, is that those buses were used to get people that were vacationing to safety, because if a large number of tourists were to perish in this fire, the disaster would have been a bigger event than it already was. The government, I'm sure, was very inclined to keep the tourists safe. So I do think that is what that is about. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think children were transported out of the fire area, but I don't think that is what those buses were doing. So that's what I'm going to say about that. I'll come back to it a little bit, but I did want to bring up this story. It is on the site factcheck.org. So you would think this is reporting facts, and I think some of these are facts, but it does relate to the missing children. So the department, okay, so this is the Department of Education's spokesperson releasing these numbers and this information. Before the fire, there were 3,001 children pre-registered in the Lahaina public schools, and there's 4 of them. There's 2 elementaries, 1 intermediate, and 1 high school. And I did a whole video on this, so I'll link that down below if you want to get more details. I have documentation proving the enrollment and what the enrollment was after the fires. So this is what this article says. Since the fire, 782 students have been re-enrolled in 44 public schools. 907 have enrolled or have been waitlisted in distance learning, and 330 have been enrolled in charter or independent schools. So 982 students have not been transferred elsewhere or applied for distance learning. So this is for the first time I'm hearing that the department has actually researched into the children who have not registered. 60% of the families so far have been contacted, and they are actively reaching out to contact families for the remainder of students who have not yet enrolled in an option. So they're admitting that there are a number of families they have not heard from. So I'm assuming every family has at least one child associated with that. very likely 2, 3, even 4. So right here it says 463 families have not been heard back from that they have tried to contact. Okay, so that is official. The spokesperson, her name is Nanea Kalani. But she's saying that the department cannot release the number of students who have died or remain missing because the numbers are, she says, so small. Okay, so let me give you guys my opinion on that in a second. So because the numbers are so small, we'd be in effect identifying them, and that would violate the privacy of the families. So let me just give you my opinion on what I think of that statement. So 463 families have not been heard from. So there is a good chance that the children that belong to those families are no longer with us. So that is not a number that is so small. Even if it were 2, I don't think that any amount of children missing is too small to release those numbers. And the fact that it would be identifying them, that sounds like an excuse, and that it would violate the privacy of the families. Some of these families are no longer with us. They're missing or deceased. So I say screw that. Let us know how many children you have not heard from and let us know what their names are. At this point, these are to me just excuses to not add to the number of missing and deceased, especially when it comes to kids. All right, and I want to stress again my opinion on the statement that was released by the Department of Education saying that 463 is too small, and that if they released any information about these families, it would be violating their privacy. Okay, so first of all, that number 463 is not small, not even close to being small, and I think most of you would agree. And by them saying that for privacy reasons they cannot release the identity of these people or these children or these families is completely baseless. The government is slowly releasing the identities, ages, and pictures of the deceased. And I think they've admitted to 2 minors. One was 7 and one was 14. So why is that not violating privacy, yet this article says they cannot release information because that is violating their privacy? For a lot of these families and a lot of these children, that is the only thing they're gonna get. That is all of the recognition they're gonna get. Okay, some of their bodies are not even intact, and this article goes into that. I don't want to get into the details, but some of these children, there is very little, if anything, left of them. Okay, by saying we're not going to give you information, it's like saying we're just going to forget about them, they're not here anymore, and they don't matter. The very least that the department can do is let us know who they are. Do something to honor them. They're already not going to get a proper burial. They're not going to be reunited with their families. And I'm Japanese, so we have a very particular way of honoring our dead. We all get cremated, but it is very important. And also, a very large part of the state of Hawaii are Japanese Americans. I think they're the most, Japanese Americans make up the most, I guess, percentage, at least when I lived there. But anyways, whether you have different values on how the dead are treated, it is very, very important to keep the remains of a person together, because that is how they believe, what we believe, that the physical body must stay intact with each other, so we don't go scattering their ashes or doing things like that. It's very important to keep whatever remains of the physical body in one. And we're never buried underground. We're always above ground. That is just how things are done in my culture. So by these children not even being whole in the afterlife is a very, to me, extremely disrespectful. There is a story of a lot of the ashes and remains of the fire were put into these blue big barrels and sent to the mainland. So a lot of these people who perished aren't even going to remain in their homeland, which is another, it generally is not how you would want to honor your dead. And I think that is probably shared with most, knowing that a lot of the remains were just, put into a barrel and shipped off somewhere is extremely disrespectful. So I don't agree with this article. I do think those numbers are correct, but as far as their opinion on them, I don't agree with them at all. Okay. The next story I wanted to talk about, and I haven't heard a lot about this. This comes from the website Daily Mail, and this goes into Ivanka Trump's trip to Maui, which happened, when was this? The 17th of September is when this was published. So she was seen handing out food and supplies to the victims of Maui. She looked very humble and was trying to lift the spirits of the people of Lahaina and let them know that they're not forgotten. So I commend her on that. I think if she's a very recognizable person. So any press that she gets and sheds light on this disaster and this tragedy, I support that. I think more news outlets should be reporting this, and that's why I'm reporting it. She took the time to talk to people who were getting supplies, and she even went out, there's a picture here, she even went out to some of the homes to deliver things, so the homes that weren't destroyed. She wore a name tag that said Eva instead of Ivanka, but I don't think she was trying to hide who she was. It's from these pictures. I'll try to put some pictures. It's very obvious who she was, and she's a very stunning woman, very hard to miss. So I don't think she was trying to remain anonymous, but from what I can tell, she was doing a very honorable thing. I just wish more news outlets would have publicized this, because more attention is good. I do, just because she comes from a real estate family and so does her husband, I did kind of think maybe there was a alternative or another reason why she came to Maui at this time. But I don't know. There's no proof that she had meetings with any government officials or had contact with the governor, mayor, or police chief or anything like that. At least this article did not mention that. But I wouldn't be surprised if she did make contacts with government officials. But I'm just speculating there. From this article, it looks like she was just interested in what was going on and wanted to shed light on the aftermath of this tragedy. So in that sense, I think it's a good thing. So if I hear anything else about that, I will definitely let you guys know. That's going to do it for today. Like I mentioned before, I have a couple of stories that I'm going to be working on very soon, and once I get those up on Rumble, I will let you guys know. But I will continue posting here. So I just want to give you guys that heads up, and if you would love to support me and my efforts and my channel, I would love it if you went over to Rumble and followed me there. That would mean so much. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye.